I got my new iPad Air 2 yesterday with 64GB of storage, and it's in gold, and it's very, very beautiful. I really like this gold color, and I don't think the color has another tone of gold as the iPhone 6 has. To me, it is the same gold color. And my iPad Air 2 is an LTE version, so it has a 4G connection, cellular connection. And the new thinness of the iPad Air 2 makes it feel smaller than the iPad Air 1 when you hold it. The weight is not so huge difference between the iPad Air 1 and 2, but you can notice a tiny bit lighter device. But the thinness makes it the biggest difference when it comes to the size of the device. I can actually hold the new iPad Air 2 in one hand thanks to the new thinness of it. That's how important the thinness of the device is. The iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus and new iPad Air 2 makes it a lot easier to hold the device and use it practically with one hand thanks to the thinness of it. And I also think that the white bezels on the front makes it feel smaller too, so it feels more like an iPad mini now when I use it in a good way. So I think that's a huge difference for me too, because I have had black bezels before, now I have white bezels, so it feels smaller thanks to that. One thing that's too bad though is that now when it has Touch ID button, why not have the new reachability feature on it too, if you use it in portrait mode, for example. So if you use the iPad Air 2 in portrait mode, it would be cool to have the reachability feature too, exactly as you have on the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. But what surprised me the most is that the performance, the speed of the iPad Air 2, it's so fast now. Apps opens really fast, you can scroll between apps really fast. Even the Wi-Fi connection is incredible fast. It has never been so good at my home, and I even don't have a router with AC router connection. I only have the N router, and you can actually feel that it has 2 GB of RAM now. All the apps is a lot faster and they don't reload and so on. You can switch between them much easier and so on. That is highly noticeable. So the speed and more RAM makes it worth upgrading from the iPad Air 1. And the new screen is just awesome. It's much clearer now, much sharper. You can read the text a lot better, and it feels so good to watch this screen on the iPad Air 2. And you can practically see the anti-glare layer on the display. It's much, much better now. It will be really interesting to see how good it is in direct sunlight this next summer. I often sit outside in my garden the complete day with my iPad, so let's see if it will be even better next summer with the iPad Air 2. One bad thing with the new display though is that it seems to get dirty a lot easier now than before. I see the dirt a lot easier, at least, on the display, so I have to clean it a lot often. One strange thing though is that the multi-gestures on the iPad Air 2 works a lot better. I mean these 4-finger swipe and so on. They always work and are really fast now. They stopped working good on the iPad Air 1 with iOS 8, but strangely they work perfectly fine on the iPad Air 2. And the same thing with AirDrop. It works perfectly fine on the iPad Air 2 with no hassle. On the iPad Air 1 I had problems with it. I always had to try 2 or 3 times before it transferred the files between my iPhone and the iPad Air 2. Now they work instantly with no problem at all. Another strange thing is that the speakers makes the iPad vibrate a lot more on the iPad Air 2 compared to the iPad Air 1. especially if you have it on your knees or stomach. You can really feel the vibration of it. But it also helps with the bass. You get the feeling that you have a better bass now when you listen to music and so on. But the speakers vibrates a lot more now. And my old weared out smart cover from Apple works on the iPad Air 2. So I thought the smart cover was only for the iPad Air 1, so I have ordered a new smart cover for the iPad Air 2, but apparently that is the same smart cover, so they support both iPad Air 1 and iPad Air 2. So as you can tell, I'm very impressed by the iPad Air 2, especially the performance, the speed of it. I haven't tried the camera yet though, so I don't know how good that camera is, but I will probably use it a lot, especially the front camera for making vlogs and so on. But this was my first thoughts of the iPad Air 2. I will probably do a real full review later on, but this is what I think at the moment about the iPad Air 2. Bye!